Hello dear students. So today here we are going to discuss about the topic which is real number, right? And we know very well that this real number comes under the which chapter? It is number system, correct? Okay, so let's have a look of it. So here it is. So this topic comes under the chapter number system of class 9. So when we are discussing about real numbers. So basically, in real number, what are the different categories, right? So first comes is the natural number, right? Okay, let's write it first. Natural number. Right now, in natural number, actually, what are natural number first of all? Right, so when we discuss about natural number, so we know very well that counting numbers are called natural number, correct everyone? So counting numbers are called natural number. Now what is counting numbers? So definitely the natural number is represented by the letter n. And when we talk about natural numbers, so under natural number what comes? So let's have a look of it. Definitely it starts from 1, right? 1, then we talk about 2, then 3, and then 4, and so on, right? So here it is 1 2 3 4 and so on, right? So it is a never ending, right? So natural number means what? Natural number means those counting numbers are called natural number, and definitely the symbolic representation for this will be n, and it starts from 1. This is the basic definitions we know, right? Another one is number 2, which is whole number, right? So when we talk about that where there is nothing, so definitely we represent it by 0, right? So this is whole number. So let's write it down first. Whole number. So what is the representation for the whole number? Very correct. So we know that whole number is represented by the letter W, correct? And it starts from where? Definitely, yes. So when we talk about whole number, so definitely it starts with 0, and then moving on, it is 1, and then 2, then 3, and so on. So which means what? We can see that in whole numbers, all the natural numbers are there, correct? So in whole number, all the natural numbers are present. So whole numbers, when we discuss, so we can say that whole numbers means what? All the natural number including 0, correct everyone? Yeah, you are very correct. Okay, so what is the next topic which comes under the whole number? Okay, so before starting that, I will ask you one thing, that what is the least whole number? Yes, so what is the least whole number? So least whole number is 0. Definitely, yes, it is what? It is 0, that you can see over here. Okay, so the least whole number is 0. Okay, and as it is a never ending, so that's why we cannot say which is the largest one, right? Second question is, are all natural number considered as a whole number? So answer is yes, all natural number will be considered as a whole number. Is it clear? Now we'll move to the next topic. So which one is the next one category, or I'll say the subtopic which comes under the real number? So what is that? So let's see. Number third. So the third one is integer. Okay, let me write it first. So here it is integer, right everyone? So now tell me that what is the symbolic representation for integer, correct? So let's have a look of it. So when we talk about integer, so definitely integer is represented by the letter Z. Okay, here it is Z. And what comes under this integer? So remember that we have already discussed about over here about what? Natural number. Second, we have discussed about the whole number. So all the integers are what? So basically we consider the mid value as 0. For this integer we consider mid value as 0, and all the positive number, or I can say after right of the 0, which number lies? So it is 1, 2, and 3, and so on. It is a never ending, right? And before 0, what comes? So we know very well it is -1. Next one is what? -2, correct? Next one, it is, first it is -2, then it is -3, and so on. Definitely it cannot end, so we are giving here dot dot dot. So which means what are integers? So integers are those values which is, just a second, let me erase this one. Yeah, this is done, correct. Let's move on. So integers are what? So integers are those numbers which includes what? 0, then positive number, and all the negative number, right? So here, as you can see, this side here, from here to here, 0 to, after 0 to the rest, which means 1, 2, 3, and so on. These all will be considered as what? Positive numbers, right? These all are the positive side or positive number. And before 0, that you can see over here, okay, this value -1 to the rest, this is called what? Negative side or the negative values. These all are what? So we can say that positive plus negative, okay, all the positive values, all the positive number, all the negative numbers, including which value? Including 0, is called as what? Is called integer. Okay, and what is the basic definition of the integer? So here I'll say once: all natural number 0 and negative of the natural number from collection of all integer, right? So this will be called as integer. Now few questions I'll be asking on it. First question, okay, so let's answer. So first question is like, 0, is 0 a negative or positive number? So our answer will be 0 is neither the positive or nor the negative. Clear? Because 0 is what? 0 is just the position value for indicating the negative and the positive. That's why we cannot consider 0 as a positive or the negative. Correct? Now the next one is, how many integers are there total? So for this one, how will you say? So we will have to say that there are infinite numbers of integers, as from both sides we can see that it is never ending, right? It is moving from right to the infinity and left to the infinity, correct? So this will be considered as what? Infinite numbers of integers are there. Now my one question is there, as we can see that here all the positive numbers are here, right? 1, 2, 3, and so on. This positive side that you can see, correct? So this positive side is what? 1, 2, and 3, and so on. Definitely we have considered over here, just we have learned about the natural number, correct? So natural numbers are also the part of the integer. Next one is here, these values, if I will include 0 with it, okay, 0, 1, 2, and 3, and so on, 0 and till here, so this will be considered as what? As a whole number. So my another question is, can I consider natural number, and whole number as integer? So what should be the answer? So answer should be yes, all the natural number and whole number will be considered as a integer, correct? So let's move to the another one. Okay, so after integer we have to discuss about which value. So yes, that this is rational number, right? So let me erase this one first, just a second. So here it is. Now, yeah, let's start. So next topic is rational number. Okay, so here it is, rational number. Now tell me the representation of the rational number. Before that, I'll be discussing about the definition of the rational number. So always remember that right now we have discussed about the integer. So what was integer? So integer was what? Integer was all the values including 0. Then what? Positive number, all the positive number, and before that it was negative number, which means -1, -2, and so on. Correct, everyone? So here this one is called integer. Why am I repeating this one? Because there is a use of integer in the rational number. Okay, so remember that rational number are those values which can be written in the form of p by q. Is it correct? Yes, it is correct. Now, rational numbers are what? Rational numbers are those which can be represented in the form of p by q. Okay, so in the form of p by q, where all p and q, all p and q, p and q will be called as what? Will be the integer. That means the value of p, the value of p and the value of p and the value of q, both will be the integer. For an example, if I'll say that, take any integer over here. So let's take p, as p is also integer and q is also integer. So I'm taking the value of p first. So let's take -2. P is -2. So yes, definitely -2 is an integer. Next one, q is also integers. Let's take an integer. So let's take 4. So 4 is an integer. Yes, 4 is also an integer. So you can see that this rational number is in the form of p by q, where p and q both are an integer. Correct? So this will be called as a rational number. But one thing you have to always keep in the mind, that q cannot be, q will never be equal to 0, which means, suppose if I'm giving any example of it, okay, why q will not be considered as 0. Suppose take any integer, let's say 3 as the value of p, and here q as 0. So 3 by 0 is undefined, so we cannot find the value of it. Correct? So that's why we will never consider 3 by 0, which means if the value of q will be 0, so we cannot consider this as rational number. Okay, so what we have learned from it, which means, let's recall the definition. So definition of the rational number is what? When a value is represented in the form of what? P by q, where p and q both are integer. Correct? What were those? So p and q both are what? Integer, and q will be never equal to 0. This will be considered as what? Rational number. Let's take an example of rational number. So here example will be what? So let's take the example. So a few more examples we'll take, and we have to keep it in the mind, p and q both will be the integer. So let's take p, the value of p as what? -5. Okay, so -5 is an integer. Yes, -5 is an integer. And another value, consider -3. So is it an integer? Yes, both the values are integer, which means p and q both are integer, and q is also not equal to 0. So we can say, is it a rational number? Yes, it is a rational number. Correct? It is called what? Rational number. Now my another question is, what is the symbolic representation for the rational number? So always remember, the symbolic representation for the rational number is what? Q. So by which value we represent q? It is rational number. Okay, which means by which value we represent, or by which letter we indicate rational number. So answer will be q. Correct. Now after rational number, there is one more point which comes what? That is irrational number. Okay, so let's have a look of irrational number. Now what do you understand by irrational number? So when we discuss about irrational number, so definitely, when rational number means what? Rational numbers are those which can be represented in the form of what? P by q. Those are called what? Rational number. Correct, everyone? So when we talk about irrational number, so what are irrational numbers? So irrational number means those number which cannot express in the form of p by q, which means if certain numbers are there which we cannot represent in the form of p by q, at that time this will be called as what? Irrational numbers. If I will not be able to represent any number in the form of p by q, so definitely it will be in the, it's called irrational number. For an example, what? Let's discuss about root 2. Can I write root 2 as p by q form? No, I cannot write root 2 in the form of p by q. Next one, can I write root 3 as p by q form? No, we cannot write root 3 as in the form of p by q. So both the values will be considered as what? Irrational numbers. There are uncountable rational numbers. Why I'm saying so? Definitely when we are talking about root 2. So root 2, what is the value of root 2? 1.414 and so on. It will never end, right? But those values, the decimal values, okay, it cannot be represented in the form of p by q, which means in the form of a p by q. That's why it is considered as what? Irrational number. Okay, clear everyone? I hope it is clear. So let's recall these values or these terms in the form of a chart, right? So I hope it is visible. Just a second. Yes, it is visible. So here it is. So right now we will be discussing about the real numbers through this chart. So as you can see over here, this chart represents over here, just a second. Yes. So here it is. So real number, right? So real number means what? Real numbers right now we have discussed already. So real number we can divide into two categories, which are what? First one is rational number, another one is what? Irrational number. Correct. First one is rational and second one is irrational. What was rational number? Which can be represented in the form of p by, which can be represented in the form of p by q form. Correct everyone? Yes, definitely correct. It can be represented in the form of p by q. And what are irrational number? Which cannot be represented in the form of p by q. Correct. Which cannot be represented in the form of p by q. Now another one is this rational number can be divided into two categories, which are non-integer rational number, and second one is integer number. Correct. So and when we will move forward, so it will be integers. So rational number can be divided into two forms. First one is non-integers and second one is integers. So what are integers? So first one is negative integer, second one is whole number. Why I am taking whole number negative? Why didn't I mention over here positive? Because when we talk about negative numbers, so here it is positive and zero including comes under what? Whole number. Now I can divide the whole number into two categories. First one, we know very well, whole numbers are consisting of what? Zero and all the natural number. Correct everyone? So this is the overall value, which means real number can be divided into the form of two, which are rational number, irrational number. Second one is rational number can be divided into two categories, which are non-integers rational number and integer rational number. And later on, integers can be divided into two categories, negative numbers and whole numbers, and whole number can be divided into zero and natural number, right? Now let's discuss or have a look of the another value over here, which is from here we will be discussing few of the questions. So let's discuss. I hope it is visible to all of you. Okay, yeah, let's discuss right now. If I'll ask to you here, I have represented it with a graphical manner. Now this real number, right? Here is the real number. So I have taken whole values. Let me make it a bit smaller. Just a second. Yeah, yeah, it is visible now. Okay. So here the real number. So here real number means what? All the rational number, integer, whole number, natural number, and irrational number. All comes under what? All comes under only one topic or one value, which is called the real number. So can I say can I consider natural number, whole number, integer, rational number, and irrational number as real number? Yes, I can say that. Next one is, now you can see that here in this circle or oval, this rational number. So under rational number, what comes? So all natural number, whole number, and integer can be considered as what? Rational number. Another one is all natural number and whole number can be considered as integer. Next one, all natural number can be considered as whole number. And natural numbers are what? So natural numbers separately, they exist by themselves. So these all are what? Natural number. So why I'm not considering these all value as irrational? I have kept this separated. Why? Because real numbers forms by rational number and irrational number, and irrational numbers are the separate branch. Okay, like we know very well, we have already discussed root 2, root 3, and so on. Correct? So always remember that this is the types of real number. Okay, where we know that rational numbers and irrational numbers forms what? Real number. So I hope you have understood all the values very nicely, or all the topics very clearly. In the next video, I'll be covering up the exercise related this chapter, which will be exercise 1.1 very nicely. Okay, so that you will be understanding or getting the depth knowledge about it. Okay, so see you soon. Have a nice day ahead, everyone. Thank you.